So, what really holds our world together? You might think it's things like laws or armies, but it's actually something much more fundamental. It's stories. Today, we're going to dive into these core stories and take a hard look at what happens when they start to break apart.
Okay, let's start with a kind of wild example. Think about a car company like Peugeot. I mean, you can see their cars, you can touch their factories, but what is the company itself? It's not the workers, it's not the CEOs or the buildings. The company, as historian Yuval Noah Harari points out, is what he calls a legal fiction. It's a shared story that we all just agree to believe in. It's just an idea, but it's an idea that can own property, sign contracts, and even be sued. And this invention, this collective act of imagination, is honestly one of the most powerful forces on the entire planet.
And this idea is part of a much bigger concept called the imagined order. Think of these as all the collective stories we tell ourselves about what money is worth, what a nation is, what laws are. They're basically the invisible software that's running human civilization, the code that allows billions of us, total strangers, to cooperate. But what happens when that software starts to get buggy? What happens when it starts to crash?
Well, you could argue that crash is happening right now. We're seeing these deep cracks appearing in the foundational stories that have really defined our world for generations, starting with the big one, the one that underpins almost everything else, our story about the economy.
Just cast your mind back to 2008. In the span of just a few weeks, the entire global financial system, our shared story about money and value, came terrifyingly close to just melting down. The belief that banks were solid, that our money was safe, it nearly vanished overnight. And the aftershocks from that, we're still feeling them today.
And here's the kicker. That fragility never really went away. Even today, serious analyses of the financial system describe it as dangerously fragile. The core problems, the vulnerabilities that caused the 2008 crisis in the first place, they're still there. It suggests our story of economic stability is built on much shakier ground than any of us would like to admit.
And the warning signs are getting, well, weirder. Take something called the yield curve. Now, this is a key economic indicator, and historically, it's had a near-perfect track record for predicting recessions. But for the first time ever, it's been flashing bright red for a really long time without an official recession being declared. It's like the old economic rulebook just doesn't apply anymore, which adds this whole other layer of profound uncertainty to everything.
And you know, this instability isn't just financial. The story of a stable global order, one that was guaranteed by strong alliances like NATO, that's unraveling too. Where we used to see unity, we're now seeing everyone kind of go their own way. Old allies like Canada and Germany are now actively building up their own militaries, trying to reduce their reliance on the United States. They're rewriting the script of collective security right before our eyes.
And you can see the real-world consequences of this all over the place. I mean, we're talking about unidentified drone swarms probing NATO airspace, Russian jets doing these provocative buzzing maneuvers against ships. It's becoming routine. Meanwhile, new alliances are popping up, specifically designed to challenge the old order. The lines on the map are getting blurry, and the story of global peace is being put to the test every single day.
Okay, so if our systems are breaking, how do we fix them? This is where the story truly splinters. It leads us to this massive ideological battlefield with two totally opposing visions for the future.
On one side, you have the reformists. Their perspective, which you can see in documents like the Mandate for Leadership, basically argues that the system itself isn't broken, it's just strayed from its original path. The solution, they say, isn't to tear everything down, but to restore it to what it was meant to be.
So their playbook is all about working within the existing framework. They're proposing very specific changes, like going back to original constitutional principles, overhauling bureaucratic budgets, and trying to root out what they see as corrupting private influences. The core belief here is that the machine is good. It just desperately needs a tune-up.
And then you have the other side. This viewpoint, which you can find in texts like Industrial Society and Its Future, argues the exact opposite. It claims the system itself, the entire industrial technological society, is the problem. And it can't be reformed because its very nature is to slowly chip away at human freedom until there's nothing left.
So the goal here isn't repair, it's demolition. This ideology isn't focused on winning elections or passing laws, it's focused on destabilizing the economic and technological pillars of our society. The end game is to trigger a total collapse of the system because they believe that's the only way to get back to any kind of real freedom.
So what we're facing are two completely incompatible stories about our future. One path seeks to save our imagined order by trying to perfect it. The other path seeks to save humanity by completely destroying that order. And here's the thing, these two visions just can't coexist.
And cutting right across both of these ideologies, acting as both a powerful tool and an existential threat, is the most unpredictable force of our time: technology.
This forces all of us to ask a terrifyingly simple question. For all our cleverness, for all our innovation, what happens when the things we build become more powerful than we are?
This quote from the computer scientist Bill Joy, it really captures the scale of this new kind of threat. He's warning that technologies like genetics, nanotech, and robotics are creating a potential for destruction that could empower a single individual in a way that even nuclear weapons never could. And this isn't science fiction. This is coming from one of the people who helped build our modern digital world.
To make this a little more concrete, consider the gray goo scenario. It's a thought experiment about what could happen if self-replicating nanotechnology went horribly wrong. A single accident in a lab could unleash microscopic robots that just consume all life on Earth, simply to make more of themselves. It's the ultimate example of a creation literally eating its creator.
And this ties directly back to that revolutionary ideology we were talking about. It sees technology not just as a physical threat, but as the ultimate tool of control. The fear is a future where technology isn't used to serve us anymore, but to remake us, to adjust us biologically and psychologically so that we can better serve the needs of the system.
So where does all this leave us? Our stories about economics, politics, and our own ideologies are all in flux, all at the same time, while this massive technological storm is gathering on the horizon. We are, for sure, living in the unwritten chapter of our own story.
This really is the state of our world right now. Every single major story that gives our civilization stability and meaning is under immense, simultaneous pressure. The old software is failing, and all these competing groups are fighting to be the ones who get to install the new operating system. The real question is, which one is going to win, and what will the world even look like when it does?
And this leaves us with one final and truly profound question from historian Yuval Noah Harari. As our technology gives us the power to engineer not just the world around us, but our very selves, the ultimate challenge shifts. It's no longer just what do we want to become, but what do we want to want? That's the real question for this unwritten chapter. Thanks for joining me to explore it.